Welcome, team. Welcome, guys, back to the Voices of Change podcast. It's going to be episode 2, Pivot Points. My name is Gabe Martinez, here with my co-host, Tex Bowie, and
What
we
up?
want to welcome everybody back to the show. Thank you again for our listeners. We're looking forward to diving into a great topic here with Pivot Points for episode 2. Just to pass off, I know, Tex, you said that you had something to start us off with, so go ahead and take it. You got it.
Thanks, man. It's a pleasure to be back here on y'all, and thank you to everybody. But I have a disclaimer that I would like to put out there as something I was thinking of as I was watching something the other day, and I was like, I want to put this out there just so all the people out there who don't believe in this, you understand why I believe in it, okay? So before we get into this episode, let me just say this loud and clear. LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. Every time he touches the ball, just know another record is about to be broken. Don't care what you say. Just know from now on, if you see him and he's touching the ball, you better expect a new stat line at the bottom of your screen and be like, LeBron James broke this, whatever it is. And it's because of his longevity, his ability to be a cerebral assassin on the damn court. Also, another thing I wanted to put out there, and this might be controversial to what I just said, but anyways, I would not be mad if I see the Denver Nuggets win the NBA championship this year. Because it's not that I'm not a Denver Nugget fan. I'm definitely a LeBron James fan. So whatever LeBron go, I'm gonna follow him because that's who I am. But once he retire, I don't know what team I'm gonna be a fan of. I am a Sacramento Kings fan though. But I would love to see the Denver Nuggets win because I just want the legend Russell Westbrook to get a ring. That's it. Nothing else. I don't care what anybody else say, but that's all I want. If the Denver Nuggets win the NBA championship this year, just know this. Russell Westbrook is a first ballot Hall of Famer, even though he still is a first ballot Hall of Famer without that championship. I just want to see that man raise the not the Lombardi trophy. It's the Larry O'Brien trophy. So that's all I wanted to say before we started today. So, and also, by the way, while we're at it, as y'all can see my background today, Arsenal is the best football club in the world. Gunners all day. If you disagree, you can go argue with your other fans or go argue with your mama or whoever, your friend. I don't give a damn what you say. We have not won a championship in so long. We don't even have whatever, but they are the best football team in the world. Anyway, now that we have that set the record straight, let's get into it. Life is full of turning points and moments where you have to make the choice, face a challenge, or take a new direction. These moments shape us, and today we're going to talk about the ones that changed our paths. We'll be sharing those things. So first, let's just start off. Gabe, where did you have your major pivots, as you would say, moment in life? And I also just want to give a credit shout out because the reason I thought about the word pivot, I watched the Pivot podcast, so the Pivot podcast people listen to this. Shout out to y'all for inspiring the topic of our today. But for you, Gabe, where did you have your major pivot moment in your life?
For sure. I've had multiple. I've had some majority time, like when I was in my childhood. I've had some as a young adult, and now as a adult now, I've had some. I'll focus on a major pivot point for me when I was a child, so to say. That for me was mostly surrounded with dealing with my family dynamics. Just to get a little vulnerable there. I had both my parents in my household when I was growing up. It was a good experience. It was cool. Especially like seeing my different peers and understanding that they weren't afforded that opportunity, and so it's something that definitely was held with a type of respect and recognition for myself. But unfortunately, 2010, I think I was like maybe 12 or 13. Like I lost my pops, and I would say that was a pivot point for me because it changed my perspective, in terms of life, where it's like things aren't always going to be cookie cutter. Things aren't going to always be perfect, and it's like, how do I adjust? How do I bounce back? And how do I pivot so that things may not be in the same circumstance of what they once were before, but how do I traverse this world, knowing that, okay, I don't have that support there, or I don't have this person there, and finding different avenues to take that. So that was a major turning point for me. I remember at the time, I had like average grades and I was doing a little bit of sports. I really didn't try in anything too much. I was kind of extremely lackadaisical. However, that was the biggest turning point for me in my trajectory in life and getting to college, getting a job and what have you, because the things that were instilled in me up until that point, hard. You see somebody working, like you should be working too. don't sit on your hands. Speak up for yourself. And then, if you stand up for something, you got to stand up for something. Don't stand up for nothing. A lot of those things I took to heart at that point, because, I think like parents, especially like your father, they give you the life lessons and they ingrain it into you throughout your years of development, until you're an adult. In my instance, in my circumstance, until you're adult, from what I understand, is that's when it comes into play, where it's like, okay, that's why these things were instilled in me. I had to grow up a little faster in that regard, and that paved the way for me to, okay, I know that I don't have the support system. I need to do whatever I can to make my current environment better. And that's what I did. I went and started doing good in school. I participated in sports. I was in all the type of I was in every type of extracurricular activity while I was in high school possible. 4.0 GPAs, 3.9 GPAs, and definitely a voice of change, a voice of reason in my community. And that helped to pave the way for me to not only go to college, go to UC Davis, join an amazing brotherhood, Phi Beta Sigma, and then in addition as well, yeah, and put myself into other people's shoes, where it's like I've dealt with this loss before, and I know that it's going to suck, and now I'm able to also, I wouldn't say teach people, but be an example of like, hey, when you go through something in life, you're able to, make it out. You just got to keep your head up, keep moving forward, and have a positive outlook. That's the biggest thing, have a positive outlook. So that was a major pivot point for me. I could dive into a couple other ones, but I'll pass the mic off to you, Tex. So in that regards, just I want to pose the same question to you, right? So, where did you have your major pivot point, or major moment in life?
For me, there's different ones, and I mean, I'll say one probably, I guess, going back to childhood would probably be immigrating to the United States, young age, from Kenya. But honestly, that to me, it was more of just of a shift of just changing environments and being in a different area. So it wasn't. It was more of like it was a pivot point in terms of how I had to grow up. That was the major thing about it. But in terms of how like I was raised, nothing really changed. I was still raised in an African household with the same traditional values and culture. So those things never left me, but it was just the environment that was around me. Because I'll be honest, before I came, my mom was telling us like, yeah, we're going to the United States. She came to my school. Funny stories. But the reason I'm gonna put this, if I ever write another book, it's gonna be my next book. But funny story of the way I found out I'm coming to the United States was I was at school and I was playing soccer. We called it football, but we was playing on the field, and at that time we would play like during break time. We called it break time, and I was on break time, and this kid passed me the ball. Like I was playing the forward position, and I was like, oh, I'm about to go score. He passed me the ball. It was a nice pass. I wish I could remember his name, but it was a nice pass, and I missed the ball trying to score, right? And I kicked the rock because we was playing on gravel, or like our field it wasn't like all that. I hit a rock, and the rock hit a kid in the head, and the kid, it hit him real. When I say it hit him real good, it sliced him up real good. So he was gushing blood. So everybody on the soccer field, we were all like, "Oh my God, Tex is he's the bad person here because he's the one that kicked or whatever." So essentially, it turned into a whole situation, and I got in trouble. So the principal gets told about this, and it's when things like this back home like that, it's technically a disciplinary type of situation. So she called my mom. My mom comes to the school, and then during that meeting, so at that time at my school, we had a field trip that we had planned that you had supposed to pay some fees to attend that field trip. So I had already paid my fees actually prior to this. So my mom comes to the school. I'm at school. I'm thinking I'm in big trouble, but at the same, it wasn't like I did it intentionally. It was by accident. It's sorry. Like I just didn't know. I missed the ball and I kicked the rock and it hit him in the head. So it was not an intentional type of thing. But anyways, the kid was hurt. The kid needed to go. It was a serious injury. Like the blood was gushing real bad. So I was also feeling bad. So my mom comes to the school. I'm there. I'm in the principal's office, sitting down. They're talking about what I did, blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to figure out, like, am I in trouble or am I not? the conversation shifted to a whole different thing where my mom is talking to the person and she's like, well, Tex was supposed to be going to the field trip and this is how much he paid for the fees. So we're going to use those fees that he paid to pay for this kid's, like, going to the hospital and whatever. So my mom was like, okay, that's fine. It's okay. And then my mom dropped the news. She just dropped the news right there. She said, that's fine. As a matter of fact, actually, I'm going to take him out to school right now because we're going to America. And that's how I found out. I was like, what? Wait, what? That was my initial kind of like moment of like, okay, so, yeah, that was, I think that was like 2 weeks prior to us getting on the flight and coming over here. So that was when I found out. And then, funny enough, as in those 2 weeks, as I was preparing and like, okay, where the hell is America? What the hell is this place? I'm a big WWE fan. If by this time you don't know that, I'm a big WWE fan. But I was like, oh, cool, I can go, see WWE people there because I've never seen them in Canada, but I've always been a big thing here. But I always thought America would be like the movie Cars. Okay, like that's what I thought America was. I thought you saw like, Mater and you got Lightning McQueen and then you got all these trucks. I had this vision and this thing. I was thinking like when I get there, the cars there, they talk to each other. There's no flies. It's all clean. It's all nice and amazing. Well, landed in New York. First thing I actually saw a homeless man from the airport. And I was like, wait, what? So that to me was how I found out I was coming here. And that was a pivot point, I guess, for myself. But then transitioning to currently like right now and as I've matured and developed, I would say probably like living on my own was a very big pivot point. And you can talk about that too, I think, because I think my first ever apartment, we lived in our first ever apartment together. Yeah. My first ever apartment, we lived there together.
Definitely did.
So that was a big pivot point for me because one, I was like, okay, I'm living on my own here, kind of like trying to figure out what is I'm supposed to do at the same time going to school. And also dealing with family dynamics of like just what is my role in terms of me growing as a man, and then I'll talk about my next pivot point after I get it back to you here. But yeah, those to me were some major pivot points in my childhood that have kind of brought me here today to who I am now. So yeah, that's what I was saying.
I respect it. I respect it. Thanks for sharing. It sounds like a lot of the pivot points that happened were a change of circumstance or change of environment for the both of us, actually. And for our listeners out there, if you are currently in that position in life where you may be a young teen, you may be a young adult, and you are having a change of environment, a change of your everyday, a change of your peers and what have you, I would recommend and I challenge you to embrace it, because when you're put in uncomfortable circumstances, that is when you grow the most. And that is when, as a person, a man, woman, they, them, whatever you identify as, when you put into these uncertain and uncomfortable situations, that is when you will raise the bar for yourself. I challenge you all to take that on head on. So I wanted to ask, Tex, did you want to go some more back into our more pivot points, or
Yeah, let's go back into more pivot points. I know you got a few that you we've talked about you and yeah. So yeah, what are some other pivot points you've had for yourself? You mentioned the ones in your childhood, but in terms of after you go through your teen phase, you become an adult, or what other type of pivot points have you had for yourself?
Absolutely, yes, sir. So I always think about this pivot point I had, right? It was extremely unheard of, extremely random, crazy in that regard, right? For me. And I'll always go back to this story because it happened so fast for me. And it was kind of immediate that I was in one environment and I moved into another within the next 2-3 months. It was crazy. So I always like to tell a story about how at one point, while I was in high school, I was a senior in high school. I didn't have any offers for sports. I'm 6'8", by the way. I was weighing like 210, 215 at the time. And, I played basketball. I love basketball, but I was better at football. I did track and field, the whole jam. But I never saw anything really come into fruition out of the effort and things that I put into sports, right? Because I always believe that sports, yes, is an app intake, but I know that academics and my scholastic is going to propel me further than what I will be able to complete only with my body, right? So my head was always that I'm going to college. I'm not sure whether or not I'll go for sports or for academics, but I know I'll get into college. Come to find out, towards the end of the senior year, I don't have any offers. I think I didn't. I think I messed up on one of my applications for the UC system. I put like 11th grade twice on there for like my like English or something. And so when I put my applications in, they were all denied. I was like, dang, okay, all right. I met all the criteria for it. I had the GPA, everything, but one mistake kind of eliminated that aspect for me. I believe I got accepted into only a state school, and a whole bunch of like community colleges are reaching out to me. They wanted me to play sports for them, but I got into one state school. I believe it was CSU Sacramento. At that time, I thought I was going to Sacramento State, and then I feel that there's people, that for these coaches that want me for, they see me, I'm playing like AAU team for my last year, senior year, for basketball, and they see me play, like, oh, you could be really good. Like, I could work with you, I could develop you, all type of stuff. And then my mind shifted, like, okay, maybe I can go to state school, or not state school. I can go to a community college school and I can play there, and I can not pay as much for school, get my general ed, and then transfer to like maybe a contending team. I could take sports farther than I ever imagined, right? Come to find out, you do your research on things, and that wasn't all it was, cracked up to be as well. And so as I continued to traverse the end of my senior year, there was this sense of urgency where it's like, I need to figure out what I'm doing. I need to make sure that I put myself on the right track so that moving forward, that I know that I can devote my time, my effort, and everything into this one avenue. And so, crazy story similar to yours about when you were playing soccer, but I was after school on the field running routes with our younger guys that were sophomores on the varsity team. I remember it was Kaylin and Jalen. Shout out Kaylin and Jalen. If you guys listen to this, you were a part of this story. And the twins were running routes. We're doing one-on-ones, and I'm just playing around. I'm running around. So, you can't guard me. You can't guard me. What? Well, get open, give me the rock, give it to me. We good. And I'm just playing. I know that, like, yeah, like, football's fun to me. Football's like fun and what have you. But I know and nobody wants me for football. People want me for basketball because of my height. I'm like, whatever. Not even thinking about that. I'm like, we're just outside playing. So we finish. We're done. We were doing like I said, our one-on-ones, 7-on-7, and then I go up the stairs to exit. I'm about to go home. It's senior year. It's like the last month and a half of school year, right? And actually, now that I think about it, that was like the last 2 weeks of school that I was ever going to be there. So I was just having a blast. That's crazy. And then come to find out, I'm walking up the stairs. There's a new head coach for our football program that just got hired. And he looks down and he's like, he stops me. So he's standing at the top of the stairs. I'm walking up the stairs. I'm like, who is this guy? I've never seen him before in my life. It's Coach Levon. Coach Levon, I remember. And shout out to you, Coach Levon. You changed my life. And so I'm walking up the stairs, and he's just like, yeah, man, like, are you going anywhere, man? Like, you doing anything? Like, how tall are you? What's your position? Like, what's your name? Blase, blase, all the hoo-ha. And I'm like, yeah, man, but I'm a senior. I'm leaving. Like, I did play. This is how much I weigh. This is how tall I am. Blase, blase. And literally just off that interaction, he's just like, man, I know some coaches down over at UC Davis. They're looking for tight ends, and I think you could do well. I'll give him a call now. I'm like, what? Really? That's crazy. He gave him a call. I hopped on the phone. He said, hey, I got this 6'8" tight end, 225. I was 210. That 225 right here, running routes and all type of stuff, man. He could do good for you guys. And I get on the phone with the scout, and I'm talking to him, and he's just like, yeah, man, we'll come and see you. If you got good grades and everything, we can make it happen. I'm like, oh, word? I can get into school? I can get into a UC? The same UC that I applied to and got denied? And it's crazy how the world works, right? So the next day at school, right, I get pulled out of class to the office. Like, did I do something? I know I ain't steal for nobody or nothing. So like, what's going on? Like, why am I getting pulled to the office? It's crazy. And I get to the office, and it's the recruiter there. He actually came that next day, and came to talk to me and everything. I'm like, oh, snap. Oh, this is serious. Okay. All right. I like that. Yeah. They came to see me, and they got my information. He's just like, Coach Watt. There we go. Coach Watt, for the time. He came to see me, and it was a beautiful experience. We were just like, yeah, man, we'll get you in. We can get you in as a preferred walk on. Your size alone and everything, like that's something that we can work with. And if you were a coachable player, we get you going. And from that moment on, it was fast track. School ended the next week, and within a month, right? They're like, okay, we might have a position open for you for fall camp. Fall camp is, for all the people unaware and unbeknownst, is that it's the 30 days right before season where the team gets together to practice, get everybody back into shape, get everybody back into football shape, and get our technique, our plan, and our approach for our game plan set up in stone. So it's a 10-week season, and the season begins right after August, so right in September. August 1st, or should I say the precursor that was leading up to that, my coach, the recruiter coach, he said there may not be an open position for you. You may have to gray shirt. We don't know yet, but just be ready, because if the call comes, August 2nd is the day that fall camp starts. And if the call comes, you need to be ready, but it's not certain right now. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, ever since then, like I was saying, hard work and dedication, I'm putting that work in. I'm running miles, I'm running routes, I'm in the gym I'm in the gym as much as I can be. I come in before school, I'll go on after school, I'll run the routes after that. I'm getting my nutrition right. I maybe gained right around like 10 pounds within like, maybe a month. I was working a job too. So I'm working a job, flipping chicken and fries and serving that over at Discovery Kingdom. So I'm eating heck of chicken tenders and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, I need all protein, all everything. And I get that call, boom. It's August 1st. I'm like, oh, I'm not finna do it. I'm going to gray shirt, and at least I'm thinking, at least I'm getting into school. At least I'm going to be at UC, and, maybe I can just, if they don't want me, don't like me, at least I'm in a school so that I'm a place that I can better my education. August 1st, I get a call, 2 p.m. Coach Watts, hey, what's up, Coach? How you doing? Yeah. Well, we got an open position, man. You ready to come in tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, it's good. Like, all right, cool. Well, we'll see you tomorrow then. Okay, perfect. Boom. I tell my Dukes, she's elated. She's like, oh, my baby's doing this. My baby, yeah, you're gonna do great. And at the time, I was so caught up with just like, oh, I'm not gonna do it, that I was just like, do I even belong here? And moving forward, that paved the picture for me to not only be a participant for the team, right? I'm like, oh, we're not sure if you're going to play. You got to show what you can. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm busting myself, right? I'm doing everything possible so that I'm like, I can show them like, okay, I belong here. I can contend, I can compete, I can do everything. You have people that have been there 3 years, and they're kind of, okay, he's stronger than me. Oh, he's faster than me. Well, shoot, I'm finna work harder than anybody. I'm gonna outwork and outperform as best I can. And I get to the point where we're getting right before season, and right before season call, they're like, okay, who made the team? Who's gonna, gray shirt stuff? And I'm like, all right, Gabe, you're gonna play. I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, I'm excited. And all right. And this is a major pivot point for me, because it changed my whole perspective, is that we get to the first game. I remember like it was yesterday. We're playing Nevada State in Nevada. First time traveling out of state without like family. First time being in an uncomfortable circumstance, right? I'm in front of a crowd. Every basketball high school game that I played, it's been like a small little crowd, and the bleachers are not filled. There's not anybody screaming at the top of their lungs and all the rest of stuff. It was a packed out stadium, Nevada State. We were playing. To this day, I got the opportunity, right, to play. First play of the game, they call my name, like, Gabe, get out there. We need to run a fade. I'm like, all right, bet, coach. It's good. It's good. I get out there. It was a nationally televised game, and I got people back home. They're rooting for me and stuff. And I was like, man, this is crazy. I'm running out, and then I line up. I got a corner on me, and they're like, I was set as a receiver at the time, right? Even though I was a tight end, but they had me as a receiver on paper because I wore the number 81. So they're like, oh, we didn't know how to game plan for you. We saw your height of receiver. It's like after the entire game, we end up losing, but But the other team's coach is like, yeah, we didn't know how to game plan for you. We saw that you were 6'8", and so we knew as soon as you got on the field, like, we're gonna have to give you some space because our corners are only like 5'10", 5'11". I was like, yeah, you lucky you sacked our quarterback on that first play because I had your quarterback beat. I'm just saying, but it paved a way for me, because it set the tone where it's like you can do amazing things if you set your mind to it. You can be a part of something bigger than yourself. You can be who you want to be. I've always wanted to play sports. I've always wanted to do that, but I didn't believe in myself. But when you put your all into the things that you have, right? When you pivot your mentality, when you pivot your lifestyle, when you pivot your approach, that is when that is when great, and that's when magnanimous things will exude from you. And so that was a major pivot point for me, just because, like I said, it set the tone for my future. Is that I know if I put my mind to it, if I put every ounce of effort and conviction into the words that I speak, and the way that I walk, the way I talk, the way I do, that I know that I'll be able to accomplish anything that I put my mind to, and that's paved the way for me to move forward to this day. So a really good opportunity for me, and I'm glad I was able to share that with you guys. My bad, I might have been talking a little too long right there, Tex. So but we're solid in that regard. That was a major part for me. Do you want to share something for your young adulthood that was a major point of pivot for you?
Well, first, I just want to say, I think that's how we ended up meeting actually during that summer when you first went to UC Davis. That's how
Yes,
we ended
sir.
up meeting each other, which is amazing. In terms of, for me though, in my adulthood pivot point, man, it's been a lot, but damn, which one do I? Yeah. Okay, well, I got in trouble with the law once, and yeah, that one really put me. Uh,
Sorry.
that was a yeah. When I say I got in trouble with the law, I wasn't out here killing people or robbing people, nothing. It was just a incident that occurred where I should have known better and should have not been in that place at that time and should have set my ass home. But yeah, I got in trouble with the law, and that really put me into perspective in terms of kind of my actions, in terms of where I'm at, in terms of what I'm doing, how I'm doing things. I guess just a little bit of how I got in trouble with the law is I decided to, the first time that I ever, like, if you know me, you'll know I love to take walks. I like to just go on walks and just whatever. Yeah, one time I went to take a walk, and I was a little bit, let's just say a little bit inebriated, and I fell, and I was by myself, and I was in the middle of a town that is very far, and where I took the walk, it was just I ended up falling. So I woke up in the hospital the next day, and I'm like, oh, what the hell just happened? And I had my hand handcuffed to the damn thing. So I'm like, what did I do? Come to find out is because I had fallen down while taking a walk because I was trying to do a jog in the middle of the night, and I fell, tripped, I hit my head, hit my leg. I still got the scars for this, and I got in trouble with the law for that. So when that happened, I learned my lesson of like when to never take runs, when to not take walks. Don't do this shit when you're inebriated. So that for me was a major turning point as an adult, was understanding of like when and where to do certain things. Then the other major pivot point was graduating college was very big for me, I guess undergrad and also getting my master's, but those were just more of just, for my own sense of personal development. But a major pivot point that I would say was the ability to travel. Man, I cannot emphasize this much, which is also something we'll be doing as with the Voices of Change. We'll be traveling to some places in the world to do a podcast. But when I got of course, I had traveled, coming from Kenya to the United States. But after seeing other places, like I think I've been to, think, I don't know how many countries I've been to so far and how many places. But when I first got my first taste of a different culture, different environment, and then I came back home and I reflect on that experience, the way I maneuvered through my daily like routine was completely different. That to me was so monumental to where now I have the ability to, if I meet people from that area within where I'm at in my current environment, I will know how to interact with them. I will know how to be able to talk to them. I will know what is it that makes them tick or make them, feel happy. So that to me has been a major pivot point, is having the ability to travel and see other places of the world, because that ability to be able to connect with people's nuances and different perspectives is something that takes you a long way. And right now I'm in my phase of my Spanish, my Spanish speaking level. I'm in conversational level. So, keep building on that. I can still speak English and Swahili and understand Kikuyu, but like, that's another thing, is the ability to learn languages. When I started realizing I have a really niche for linguistics, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just keep building on it. So those pivot points for me have been very monumental in terms of the ways of how I go on with my life. It's something that I really, really appreciate and build upon. And then lastly, like I was saying, the living on your own thing. Some people are not privileged enough to be raised in a home or being raised within a family. I definitely was very privileged enough to be able to be raised within a family that loves me and cares about me and supports me. But then when I stepped out there in the world and now it's all on me. I'm the one to go get my own groceries, pay my own bill, put gas in my own car, take myself places, or whatever it is I have to do. When I had exposure to that and then I kept continue doing it, it really gave me a sense of gratitude and also have an understanding of grace for myself. And that is something that was very pivotal to me, because before then I will never, like I ain't gonna lie, when I was a kid, I was adventurous as hell. Still am adventurous as hell as an adult, but having that exposure to living on my own, my level of being adventurous became more of a controlled adventurous, let's just say it like that, to where I knew in terms of what I was doing and how I was doing it and how, it might maybe cause me to be in trouble or not do, or, whatever it is. So that to me was very pivotal in terms of my own self, is learning that feeling of, and that understanding of giving gratitude to every single thing that I'm doing, to every single place that I'm at, being thankful for being there. And that was something I really had to hone in and learn while living on my own. But now let's transition to kind of like how these pivotal points for ourselves have been, influential to our life. So, Gabe, for you, like, how have these pivot points influenced like your mental health journey? Because let's be real here, change isn't always smooth. Things can be stressful, overwhelming, overburdening, and then sometimes things can be traumatic at times. So when you look back at these big tough transitions, what was the hardest part mentally? And do you feel like these moments made you stronger, or did they force you to see things differently?
Yeah, I think that you painted that in the best way possible as a question. So to lead with that is amazing. So what I would like to follow up with on the previous experiences that I have shared is that in those moments when I lost my father, in the moments that I was unaware where I was going and ended up playing college football at UC Davis. In both of those moments, there was a sense of like loss, a sense of, yeah, this could be potentially traumatic to people if you have a plan for something and it doesn't fall through, right? Or if things just don't go your way and it affects you in all its entirety. I would say that in all of those moments, moving myself forward and not staying in the past, but living and not focusing on the future, but moving towards the future has paved the way for my mental health to continue to move forward. In terms of that, things happen to everybody, whether it may be the loss of a loved one, it may be that you got hurt, or you hurt somebody, or you experienced, for all intents and purposes, any type of pain in your life, right? It's the moment, these are the significant moments that define your story, your character, and your voice, right? It's it's a lot of these moments for myself forced me to be better, do better, and try different things and be comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, right? For instance, my father was, a pivotal landmark in my life. When I lost him, it shifted my mindset. It made me go from, okay, I can be reliant on two people in the household, to now I have to rely only on one. I do have a whole bunch of brothers and sisters, but I know for myself that with the teachings that I received, that I need to use these teachings and use what I can to make it so that not only am I not a burden, but I could be somebody who can be relied upon, right? I can be somebody who is not necessarily not confrontational, but makes the best out of what he has, and, is focused and does what they can to, continue moving forward. When I was in college, well, when I got to college and had that experience with playing football, ultimately earning a scholarship and what have you, it paved the way that, even if you feel uncertainty, right? If you continue working, right? If you continue building the baby steps, piggybacking off of our previous podcast last week, to add the momentum to move yourself forward, good things will happen, right? There's always going to be a time and a place where you may falter on your own mental. You may disbelieve that you are enough, or that what you're doing is right, correct, and firmly founded. But we fall back on the preparation that we have. We fall back on what's most comfortable, or what we've been taught. And as a result, in those instances that I've been in life, is that I understand, if I continue to work, if I continue to apply what I know, if I continue to learn, if I continue to grow, right, the mental fortitude that I gain in these instances from not backing down, from not giving up, it's going to be something not only that propels me forward, but gives me the opportunity to teach and propel others forward and guide them through similar circumstances. So far as mental health, like, I feel like that is the best way that I can explain that in my regard. For yourself, Tex, I want to pose the same question. Like, how has these pivotal points, I would say, made you stronger or forced you to see things differently?
Well, damn, man, you just shared some. I was soaked into that wisdom you were sharing, because man, that was fantastic.
Thank you.
I guess for me, the one thing that I always give credit to is I'm a very adaptable person. And I don't know what it is, but to all the people who believe in astrology, I'm an Aries, and I guess maybe this will fall into y'all arguments, but I don't really believe in that shit. But it's that for me, learning how to navigate life on my own and deal with, I guess, my mistakes currently, my past mistakes, and learning and seeing from others what they have done and what they have accomplished, what they have done wrong, is something that has allowed me to be able to kind of have a mental fortitude to anything that I'm doing. I'm a risk taker. Like, I could have told my mom, like, I don't want to come to America. I could have been like, but I was like, hey, look, why not? And I'm here. I've been thriving. I've had my ups and downs, and those things for me, in terms of my own mental journey, have allowed me to be able to understand the nuances in every situation that I am doing, because every single situation has its own blueprint, and knowing how to work around that blueprint is something that I can say for myself. I am my own expert in that. Like, I will know how to navigate a situation based upon my experiences, based upon what I've learned, based upon what I've seen. Then also, I guess on top of that, traveling has also helped a lot. Like, I didn't have exposure to what is out there. I don't think I would have this perspective I've had, because I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, about first world perspective versus third world. Actually, I was talking to my cousin. He's living in Kenya. His problems compared to my problems are completely different. He worried about food, water, electricity. I don't got to worry about that. I'm more worried about my Wi-Fi is slow. My shoes need to get cleaned because this. So that perspective and seeing different places of the world has really, really put me into, like, look, the world is revolving. Don't make any situation be the worst of it. Just grow from it. And that growth and that perspective has made it possible for me in terms of my own mental fortitude, in terms of how I'm developing. So if anybody's listening to this, and everybody is out there listening to this, the main focus we're trying to say within our episode today of the pivot points is that every single person has a pivot point that they're going to reach. Within those pivot points, it's about how you react. It's not about how you can cry about it, you can laugh about it, you can write about it, but the way you respond, the way you come back from those things, are what really make you who you are. And I'll go back to the reference of why I started off the disclaimer today by saying LeBron James is the greatest player in basketball of all time. He always comes back. Y'all remember 7 years in the league? Everybody talking shit about him. He can't do this. He can't do that. He said, you know what? I'm a great player. I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. He went to South Beach. What he do? He got 2 rings down there. Came back to Cleveland, gave y'all a ring in Cleveland. Went to LA, got a ring in LA. I don't want to hear nobody talk about just because people are hating on you, just because you feel you can't do it. He's a great testament. I'm using that sports analogy for that. He's a great testament to showing how pivot points in your life allow you to be able to create something greater and something better for yourself. So essentially, I think that for me, the biggest thing in my pivot points is perspective of seeing where I'm at in my current life, in my situation, and allowing for that growth to be possible. So, yeah.
I like that a lot. I think you hit a lot of
Yeah.
points with that.
Yeah. So let's go to our next segment. This is the segment we was going to do advice for navigating pivot points, but I think we've already touched upon that for today, based upon everything. I guess we'll touch upon this. So for anyone listening out there who feels stuck in this moment, let's talk about what has helped us move on forward. So for anyone out there going through their own pivot moment, maybe a career change, a personal change, or you're just feeling stuck, or you need clarity. I was gonna make a joke about clarity, but I ain't gonna do that. So what advice, Gabe, would you give to somebody? We're gonna give 3 advices today before we jump into our 3 for the Founders segment.
Okay. Advice that I would say for people that going through a pivot point, I would say you have to own that pivot point, whether it's a career change, whether it's a personal challenge, whether it's just feeling stuck, feeling like you don't have any direction. You got to own it, because for all intents and purposes, and I always like to say this, nobody is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. You have to do whatever is possible for you so that when you're in these situations, you can bring yourself out of them, right? A lot of the mental fortitude and the experiences that we have shared with you guys have been examples of, okay, we're in this situation. How do we make the best of it moving forward, right? We're not sulking and woe is me, we're of course, things may be new, and of course, things may not be comfortable, but it's in those situations that you find the most growth. You have a piece of advice, Tex?
Yeah, I think advice number 2 before we get into 3 is I think finding your support system is very important, because the people you surround yourself with, they will kind of determine how you turn out to be. And if you're surrounded by only yourself, I would just be honest. If you're only surrounding yourself by yourself, I don't think that's the right way to go along things, because you're stuck in your own thoughts. You're not able to bounce and reflect from other perspectives. So I think finding a support system for yourself is a very big thing, because you don't have to do everything alone. And, whether it's family, friends, or mentors, you gotta lean on people sometimes who uplift you, and you also gotta lean on yourself. And I think finding a support system is something that is essential in terms of every single pivot point you're having. Have some sense of foundation to who are the people around you, what is around you. It can even be, what are you eating, what are you doing. Those are still things that are still part of your support system to ensure that you're getting to that next point. And let me leave the last one to you before we get to the 3 for the Founders segment.
You got it. So last one to leave you guys before we move into our 3 for the Founders is that throughout all the things that we've shared, something that is an overarching theme is that you cannot be and don't be afraid to rewrite your story, okay? Just because things are not going as planned, just because you have failed, just because there is an option that you haven't seen yet or haven't learned yet, doesn't mean that there isn't another option out there. Doesn't mean that there isn't another route for you to traverse. Keep searching, keep yearning for growth, keep learning, and know that with every obstacle, with every failure, with every instance that you may have received any type of doubt, these are all opportunities for you to grow, to change your narrative, and to navigate to bigger, onward, forward, and higher standards of excellence. So our 3rd piece of advice, love to see it. And so to conclude that, we'll move it into our next segment, which is going to be 3 for the Founders.
3 for the Founders! Yeah.
So three for the founders, moving forward, I want to start us, well, pass it off to you, Tex, to start us off. So with three for the founders, this is always going to be three things to try that we know or that we can reflect upon. So for yourself, Tex, can you start off and then I'll give us, follow up at that.
So, three for the founders. Number one today is the people around you matter.
They do.
Like I said, the people around you matter. Surround yourself with those who inspire and push you forward. Surround yourself with information that is helping you grow, helping you develop into whatever you see for yourself. Because if you don't do that, ain't nobody else gonna come save your ass. So, number two,
resilience is built, not given. Again and again, let's say that again for all the people in the back. Resilience is built, it's not given. Every challenge that you face, every circumstance that you go through, it's preparing you for the next. It's training you for the next. Continue to build your resilience. Don't give up on yourself. Meet every challenge and every obstacle face on. It'll make yourself, your mental fortitude, and your well-being better. And moving into our third one.
hot topic.
So, okay, this hot topic we kind of thought of on the fly. It wasn't necessarily planned. I wanted to bring this up to Tex. But the hot topic for today, right? Usually this will be centered around like personal growth, maybe something with mental health, or maybe a recent cultural moment that's been going on in society. For myself, this has been a personal growth moment that I've been experiencing, and I wanted to share with you all because this is something that's been, I would say, cataclysmic to moving myself forward. So
this man vernacular today. You said cataclysmic.
Yes, sir. It's
oh my God.
ground shaking, ground breaking, putting us in a phenomenal position to move forward day after day.
So walking dictionary over there.
A personal growth moment for me, right, has been that I work a job where I am a manager, and in my job and my leadership style is like this, right? My personality is like, of course, I'm outgoing. I like to make sure people's taken care of. I like to, if you need help, assist in the best way possible. But my leadership style is extremely, I would say, by the book in terms of holding people accountable, right? I know for myself, with my background in sports, my background in different extracurricular societies and what have you, is that to grow and to do better, be better, is that, and piggybacking off of the people that you surround, that for our point number two for three for the founders, is that when it comes to your development and it comes to getting better, right? The people that you surround yourself and people that hold you accountable, it may not always seem like the best. It may not always feel the best, right? Somebody's coming to you and they're challenging you on where you're at and what you're doing to do better, to be better, to produce better, to be a better person, to be a better leader, to be a better father, be a better sister, be a better mother, be a better friend, be a better anything, right? Having these people in your life, these mentors, and in my current instance is that I am this person, I am this leader, I am this mentor, and it is not always met with the best criticism, right? In life, we're going to get bad criticism. In life, we're going to get good criticism, right? All criticism, all banter, all talking is going to just increase and help us to move forward, right? Currently in a position, there's where I'm at, people hate it. People hate that I hold people accountable. They don't like it, it's a shift in the system. It's a cultural
haters.
It's a cultural groundbreaking approach, right? However, with everything new that is introduced, whether it's in law, whether it's in society, whether it's with your family, anything that's new, right? Because it is a change from the social norm or a change from the norm of wherever you're at, understand that you're going to be met with backlash. You're going to be met with pushback. You're going to be met with people that disagree. However, if what you are bringing forward has a plan and what you're bringing forward has a purpose, you'll know that moving forward throughout that plan and that purpose is that if you stay consistent, you stick to it, you stay 10 toes down and you don't budge, you don't fold, you may adjust a little bit, but if you stay true to your approach and how you have things going, this is going to be the best opportunity for growth, right? Something new may not be liked, may not be well accepted. However, if you have the foresight and people are sitting on the hindsight of things, there's going to be a disconnect. It is up to you as a leader to bridge that gap, to offer not only solutions to the potential problems that may occur, but in addition as well, to bring ease to the minds of those that don't necessarily have the foresight to see how things could be better or how things could, end up being worse, right? We have to understand that, especially as leaders, especially as, I'm a black man, I'm 6'8", is that I, for myself, have to put myself in other people's shoes. I have to understand that what I'm saying and what I'm bringing forth to the table may not be necessarily accepted and received in the best way possible on the other end of the spectrum. And it's up to us as leaders, up to myself as a leader, to do better in that regard, so that everyone understands across the board that this is where we're going. This is where we are in this car. I'm driving the car. You may not know where we're going, but I'm gonna let you know the directions and what to look out for, and as we go, lead you so that we can get to our destination. And so my little piece of the hot topic right there, like I said, is, you may be met with backlash, you may be met with haters, but what they say, haters may be greater. And if you got people that are banding against you, right? They're bringing people together to come against you, to speak against you. Just know what you're doing is right. What you're doing is powerful. What you're doing is foundationally shaking and groundbreaking, and more than likely going to be one of the best things moving forward. Stay firm, stay founded, and keep moving forward, because in these instances, that is going to define your character. That's going to define, your mental fortitude. But in addition as well, it's going to pave the way forward for your growth. And, for Voices of Change, that we're all about moving the narrative and shifting the narrative forward, sharing these experiences. So not only can you change, not only can we change, but all together as a community, we can all come together to grow, to move the narrative forward. And that's what I want to share with you. Hot topic of the day. Appreciate the
Hot
text.
topic of the day. He said it well, and like I want to emphasize again, haters made LeBron great. I just want to say that. Anyways, before we wrap up, remember, your pivot points don't define you. How you respond to them does. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out our amazing content on the Alive Podcast Network app. Supporting this podcast means you get ad-free access to nearly 100 other Black-hosted podcasts, and you help conversation like this going. Also, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever, to our YouTube channel. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere else. Check out our website, www.sustainthevoices.org. And we got some more coming. We got some episodes coming up with some guests soon. We got a special, edition one coming up soon in April. It'll probably be, y'all see that. But yeah, appreciate everybody for listening in today. If you like this, let us know. Yeah, Gabe, you got some closing words you want to say?
Never be shaken by the response that people give to the actions you're taking. Take the criticism,
Amen.
Learn from it, grow from it, and keep moving forward. Never be shaken, never fold, never bend. If you have a firm, founded reason for the things that you're doing, you have the vision, you have the foresight, if others can't see, stay forward. I like to leave it at this. Jesus, and I'm not Jesus at all, I don't want to compare anybody to Jesus, but an example. Jesus, in all the right that he was doing, he was seen as doing wrong, right? He was going against the government. He was going against the current religions that were in power, right? And at the end of the day, from all intents and purposes, what he was doing was right, as we see now, 2,000 plus years later. Everybody who's doing great things, right, I like to say, isn't always going to be accepted in the times that they did it. And it's not always going to be met with good graces. However, stay firm, keep moving, because at the end of the day's got to end. But also, at the end of the day, over time, people will see the good that you're doing, and things will change. Keep moving forward. Don't stop for no one. Don't shake for no one. And that's what I'm going to leave you for. Voices of Change. Let's do it. That's it.
All right. So stay connected, keep growing, and we'll catch you next time on the Voices of Change. Please don't forget, comment, like, subscribe, share, everything. And as I always say on the other podcasts, I got to say peace out on there. But on this one, we always going to leave it on. We are the Voices of Change. Thank y'all.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.